In all of MLB history, every team has had that one iconic hitter. The Ruth, the Griffey, the Gwynn, the guy who was so talented with a bat in his hands that he will be remembered forever. With many teams, the choice is easy. For others, not so much. But with that, what better place to start could there be than the hit king himself, Pete Rose. Pete Rose didn't hit his way into history with talent alone. He did it with grit, stubbornness, and an unrelenting belief that effort beats everything. With 4,256 hits, he passed every name in the record books, racking up 9 200-hit seasons and 10 years with over 100 runs scored. His 1973 MVP campaign was a clinic in production. 230 hits, a 338 average, and a 432 on-base percentage. And while he said, "I didn't get to the majors on God-given ability, I got there on hustle," it was more than hustle. He had timing, vision, and that dangerous instinct for clutch moments. Pete Rose was controversial, sure, but he also brought 2 World Series titles to Cincinnati, played nearly every position on the diamond, and embodied the fire that defined the Big Red Machine. No one in history hit like him, but not even Pete had a swing as pretty as Ken Griffey Jr. Ken Griffey Jr. wasn't just a player, he was the superstar that brought Seattle into relevance for the first time. He came up with the backwards cap, the smoothest lefty stroke anyone's ever seen, and made highlight reel catches seem effortless. But behind the cool was a monster stat line: 417 home runs, 1,216 RBIs, and a WAR that still tops all Mariners hitters. In 1997, he won MVP while hitting .304 with 56 bombs and 147 RBIs. And even that felt routine for him. He had 10 Gold Gloves and 7 Silver Sluggers, proving that he wasn't just great, he was complete. Safeco Field, playoff dreams, even the Mariners' identity, all of it grew straight from Griffey's bat, something only Teddy Ballgame may have been better at doing. Ted Williams didn't just hit, he studied, obsessed, and executed the art of hitting like it was a science. He batted .344 for his career and remains the last player to top 400 in a season. Ted was so good that he walked off to serve in World War II, missed 3 entire seasons, and still found a way to smash 521 home runs. He once said hitting was about getting a good pitch to hit, but what he really meant was hitting is mastering every detail of the craft. Fenway loved him not because he smiled, but because he was sharp, relentless, and always dialed in. No one, not David Ortiz, Manny, or anyone else, ever defined Red Sox hitting the way Williams did. Something Tony Gwynn also did to a franchise, just in a different uniform. Tony Gwynn's title as the greatest Padre hitter is secured for life. A .338 career average, 3,000 plus hits, and a reputation for making strikeouts feel criminal. He won 8 batting titles, including a .394 average in 1994, and struck out just 434 times in his first 20 seasons, all while exclusively wearing San Diego colors. Gwynn's laser eye and loyalty created a personal connection with fans that goes way beyond the numbers, because the fans didn't just love what he did, they loved who he was. He smiled, he stayed, and he hit better than anyone in the game, just like Babe Ruth did in the dead ball era for the Yankees. Before Ruth, baseball was a game of strategy and small ball. Then he showed up, crushed a couple hundred dingers, and blew the roof off the sport. Babe hit 714 home runs, posted a slugging percentage near .690. It made offense something you could actually fear. He didn't just help the Yankees win, he made them the Yankees. Championships followed, as did a legend too big for the field to contain. "If you don't hit, you don't play," he said. And Ruth made sure he was always playing. He swung like he knew he'd change the world, and he did. And the only icon of his era that might be just as epic is the one and only Ty Cobb. Ty Cobb remains Detroit's greatest hitter, with a .366 career average, still the highest in MLB history, and over 4,189 hits, almost all of which was earned in a Tigers uniform. Known for razor-sharp instincts and aggressive play, he won 12 batting titles, including a .420 season in 1911. Cobb's obsession with contact and speed made him feared on every pitch. He defined the art of early baseball offense, and his precision on the base paths gave Tigers fans a prototype of hitting mastery. Cobb's dominance predated power stats. He preached hitting, and that's why he remains Detroit's greatest ever, just like how Frank Thomas is remembered in Chicago.
You can put it on the ball, yes, number 300. Our congratulations go out to the big hurt Frank Thomas.
Frank Thomas didn't shout to prove his dominance. He let his bat do all the talking, and it rarely shut up. With a .301 career average, 448 home runs, and nearly 1,600 RBIs, the Big Hurt was more than a nickname. It was a promise. He won back-to-back MVPs in the 90s, combining raw strength with rare patience. It gave White Sox fans a reason to care even when the team sucked. Thomas didn't just hit tape measure home runs though. He drew walks, worked counts, and and stared down pitchers like a chess master in a slugger's body. You came to the ballpark for the fireworks, but stayed for his command of the strike zone. But while Frank Thomas overpowered pitchers with his muscle, Stan Musial took a different path, one built on rhythm, grace, and a swing as smooth as his demeanor. Stan Musial wasn't flashy, but he was flawless. In a career that spanned 22 seasons, all with the Cardinals, he racked up 3,630 hits, drove in 1,949 runs, and collected 3 MVPs like souvenirs. His .331 career average spoke volumes, but his humility might have said even more. He once said, "Baseball is a lot like life." And in St. Louis, Musial wasn't just a player, he was their beating heart. Fans trusted him because he never gave them a reason not to, and opponents respected him because they had no choice. Stan wasn't the loudest voice in the room, but he was the one you listened to. When you think of Cardinals greatness, you start and end with the man. Just like when you think of the Rockies, it starts and ends with Todd Helton. Todd Helton didn't just benefit from Coors Field, he owned it. Over 17 seasons in purple and black, he hit .316, piled up over 2,500 hits, and belted 369 homers with a swing that looked designed by a hitting coach's dreams. But it wasn't just power, it was plate discipline, on base percentage, titles, and a quiet consistency that made him the face of the franchise. Helton didn't chase headlines, but he chased line drives into the gap and wore down pitchers who underestimated. Rockies fans loved him for this, and not because he was loud, but because he never left. From the team's early years to their brief peaks, Helton was the anchor that made the Rockies feel real, just like Hank Aaron was the rock that made all of MLB feel real. Hank Aaron swung like he was telling the history books to catch up, and eventually it did. With 755 home runs, 2,297 RBIs, and more extra base hits than any player in Braves history, Aaron's numbers speak louder than most entire careers. But what truly defined him wasn't just the production, it was the consistency and grace under turmoil. As he closed it on Babe Ruth's record, the pressure mounted and the hate mail piled up, but Aaron never flinched. Through it all, he stayed consistent, quiet, and devastating at the plate. Hank Aaron wasn't chasing greatness, he was greatness, and the Braves were lucky to have him.
In relief, there's a swing and a long drive. That is fielded far deep. Left center field. Gone. Another Ricky Henderson leadoff home run.
Ricky Henderson stands atop A's history as both a catalyst and offensive legend. With over 3,000 hits, 1,400 steals, and the all-time records for runs scored and stolen bases, his aggressive approach fundamentally changed games and energized Oakland fans. Henderson combined contact, speed, and power in a way unmatched in athletics lore, and his fearlessness on the base paths inspired entire lineups. His baseball IQ and personality made him the archetype of the A's identity, something electric hitter Mike Trout has found a way to consistently do in Anaheim. Simply put, Mike Trout is the greatest hitter the Angels and perhaps all of baseball has ever seen. His blend of elite contact, power, plate discipline, and defense created multiple MVP seasons, consistent WAR dominance, and season after season of Holy Grail type production. Trout's career OPS, averages, and WAR rank among the best ever, and he's become the face of the franchise in an era where superstars often depart early. His loyalty and consistency kept Anaheim invested in baseball, and while that kind of steady devotion kept the franchise grounded, Mike Schmidt completely elevated one. Mike Schmidt redefined what it meant to hit at third base. With 548 career home runs, 3 MVPs, 10 Gold Gloves, and a clutch bat that brought the Phillies to its first World Series title, Schmidt's combination of power, defense, and leadership set the bar. His ability to change games with one swing and his dominance in the middle of the Phillies lineup leave others in franchise history completely forgotten. Where Schmidt dominated with flash though, the Blue Jays' greatest hitter, Carlos Delgado, thrives solely on quiet consistency. Carlos Delgado didn't roar. He rumbled quietly, season after season, with a bat that never cooled off. He was Toronto's rock in the lineup, mashing 30 to 40 homers every year with RBI totals that rivaled anyone in the league. He bridged generations, outlasted coaching changes, and gave the Blue Jays stability during eras that were anything but. Fans didn't just cheer for his stats though. They admired the way he carried the franchise on his back without asking for the spotlight. In a city that's seen stars come and go, Delgado remains the gold standard of homegrown power, like Jeff Bagwell was in the heart of Texas. Jeff Bagwell changed what a slugger could be because he didn't just hit for power, he did everything else too. He's the Astros' all-time leader in home runs, RBIs, and slugging percentage, and he did it while batting close to 300 for his career. His 1994 MVP season still feels unreal. 368 average, 39 homers, and 116 RBIs in just 110 games. Bagwell wasn't just strong, he was efficient, selective, and always dangerous. Yeah, his stance was weird, but his production was not. For Houston, he became the prototype, a middle-of-the-order threat who led with his bat and set the tone for the modern Astros offense. And while Bagwell brought Houston to new heights, David Wright became the steady-hitting soul of a franchise that always seemed on the verge of unraveling. David Wright didn't need MVPs or massive milestones to earn his place. He earned it with loyalty, poise, and a swing that Mets fans could believe in. He had over 300 for his career, tallied more than 1,500 hits, and added just enough power to keep pitchers honest, but more than enough to scare them too. He showed up, played hard, and led quietly when everything around him screamed noise. And while injuries may have hampered his lifetime stats, he was always the most grounded and talented hitter the Mets had. In a city obsessed with stars, he stayed the steady one, earning every ounce of love he still gets today.
Out of the Yankee dugout, since this is an official game it has started in as a group, the Yankees left the dugout, gave Cal Ripken an ovation of their own out of reach.
Cal Ripken Jr. didn't just show up, he never left. With over 3,000 hits, 2 MVPs, and a .276 average, he was the Orioles' iron foundation. His record 2,632 consecutive games wasn't just a streak, it was a statement. He made Camden Yards feel like a cathedral, and every at-bat felt like a reminder that greatness can be quiet, steady, and always on time. But if Ripken was baseball's rock, Roberto Clemente was its soul. With 3,000 hits, 12 gold gloves, and a swing that blended grace with urgency, Clemente redefined what it meant to be a complete player. Pirates fans didn't just admire his clutch hits too, they revered the man behind them. His legacy is part numbers, part nobility, and forever sacred in Pittsburgh, making him a clear favorite for their best hitter ever. While Clemente stood for heart though, Robin Yount on the Brewers stood for versatility. Whether at shortstop or center field, he racked up over 3,000 hits and won MVPs at both spots, something almost no one else can say. Yount was reliable and relentlessly productive, hitting with a near 300 average across his career, which earned him Milwaukee's full respect and a Cooperstown edition. He didn't just play for the Brewers, he was the Brewers, of which the same could be said about George Brett for the Royals. George Brett did it all for Kansas City. A dominant contact and power hitter, his .390 average in 1980 and 3 batting titles across 3 decades showcased rare longevity and dominance. With more than 3,150 hits and 300 home runs, Brett maintained elite performance while becoming the Royals' symbolic leader. His passion, clutch hitting, and sheer consistency made him the ultimate embodiment of Kansas City baseball. But not even Brett had a moment in Kansas City as iconic as Evan Longoria did in Tampa.
2-2 and a line shot down the left field line. That ball is gone!
Evan Longoria didn't just hit home runs, he gave Tampa Bay an identity. From the moment he debuted, he became the face of a franchise that had never truly mattered, and he made them matter fast. With multiple 20-plus home run seasons, 100-plus RBI campaigns, and a knack for timely hits, Longoria delivered when it counted most, none bigger than his walk-off blast in Game 162 of 2011, sending the Rays to the postseason in dramatic fashion. His steady bat and quiet leadership helped stabilize a roster built on turnover and potential. In a club defined by short windows and rising stars, Longoria gave Tampa something rare, a cornerstone who stayed long enough to leave a legacy. And while Longoria anchored with calm, Giancarlo Stanton made waves with anarchy. His home runs didn't just leave the yard, they left dents in the center field concession stands. With 267 bombs in a Miami uniform and a 59-homer MVP season in 2017, Stanton brought power to a team that had long lacked punch. But it wasn't just about distance, it was about presence. He gave the Marlins a superstar to believe in, someone who stayed longer than most and made highlight reels nationwide. In a franchise known for change, Stanton changed the perception of Marlins offense entirely, one swing at a time. However, sometimes all it takes to become a franchise legend is actually one swing.
She's loaded.
Luis Gonzalez didn't need flash, he had timing. Over his career, he quietly stacked 2,591 hits and 354 home runs, becoming the Diamondbacks' all-time offensive leader. But it was one swing, his bloop single off Mariano Rivera in Game 7 of the 2001 World Series, that turned him into a permanent part of baseball history. That hit didn't just win Arizona its only championship, it gave the franchise its defining moment. Gonzalez brought production year after year, but when everything was on the line, he delivered the biggest hit in Diamondbacks history, and that is what made him legendary. But where Gonzalez had one iconic moment, Ernie Banks had a career full of them. Mr. Cub mashed 512 home runs, and won back-to-back MVPs in the 1950s. But stats only tell part of the story. It was his joy, his constant infectious joy, that defined him. In a city built on baseball pain, Banks gave fans something to hold on to, hope. His phrase, "Let's play too," still echoes through Wrigley, a symbol of love for the game and loyalty to the team. No one wore the pinstripes with more pride, and no Cubs hitter has ever been more dominant. And while Banks gave the game emotion, Tris Speaker gave it precision. Speaker's .345 average and over 3,500 hits made him one of the purest contact hitters the sport has ever seen. In the 1910s and 20s, he didn't just win batting titles. He set the standard for how to approach an at-bat. With elite defense in center field and unmatched plate discipline, he became Cleveland's first true baseball architect. For fans of the early game, Speaker wasn't just a star, he was the foundation for precision, something that Juan Gonzalez and his monster Texas bat couldn't have been farther from. Juan Senor October Gonzalez swung so hard, he hit like he had a grudge. With 2 MVPs and several 40-plus home run seasons, he turned the Texas lineup into a nightly threat. But it was the 1996 ALDS where he truly earned his nickname, launching homer after homer and nearly carrying the Rangers past the Yankees on his own. His bat was raw, his demeanor was rugged, and his swagger matched the heat of Arlington summers. Before the big money eras and new stadiums, Gonzalez set the tone for what Rangers offense was supposed to be: loud, fearless, and built for October. If Gonzalez was brute force though, then Vladimir Guerrero Sr. was chaos in control. Whether in Montreal or briefly in Washington, he attacked baseballs that no one else would dream of swinging at, and somehow he turned them into hits. With a .318 career average, 449 home runs, and nearly 1,500 RBIs, he gave the franchise its rare blend of style and substance. Guerrero played like he was having fun, but every pitcher was not. Fans in both cities remember him not just for what he hit, but how he hit. No one made offense look so unpredictable and so unstoppable. Guerrero played with flair, but Rod Carew played with feel. The Twins' all-time contact artist posted a .328 career average, racked up over 3,000 hits, and won 7 batting titles in an 8-year span, peaking with an incredible .388 average in 1977. His swing didn't generate headlines, but it did generate results. There was no wasted movement, no panic in the box, just pure rhythm and precision. For Twins fans, Carew didn't just hit, he glided, turning each at-bat into a lesson. No Twin has ever been smoother or more automatic. But while Carew brought quiet elegance to the plate, Duke Snider gave Dodgers fans fireworks and flair every game. With 407 home runs and a franchise-best RBI total for much of the team's history, Snider was the offensive engine through the golden years in Brooklyn and early days in Los Angeles. He wasn't just productive, he was poetic, launching home runs over Ebbets Field walls with a kind of swagger fans couldn't forget. His final home run in that stadium in 1957 wasn't just symbolic, it was a farewell kiss to a city and an era. Snyder's legacy is one of power, leadership, and that rare charisma that turns great players into lasting legends.
Ripped into right field. It's a one-run game as Bonds gets his second of the series.
Then came Barry Bonds, who didn't just rewrite the record books, he lit them on fire. With 762 career home runs, 7 MVPs, and statistical dominance across OBP, slugging, and walks, Bonds turned every at-bat into a must-watch event. In 2001, he slugged 73 home runs with a .515 on-base percentage, numbers that still don't feel real. His plate discipline was surgical, his swing explosive, and his presence unmistakable. Yeah, the controversy will always be a part of the story, but so will the fear he instilled in every pitcher who faced him. No giant before or since has ever controlled the batter's box like Bonds. But if you want the full story of how he went from a 1 in a billion prodigy to baseball's most infamous supervillain, click on this video here to get all the details.